Pleased to meet you. This is Fixed and Folded, the knife review channel for the casual knife collector. I am Cody. Tommy is right here, and we're going to do a review of the relatively new Extrema ratio GLAUCA G1. First off, I will say this is a good knife. So you get an Italian-made Bowler N690 steel. Bowler does powder metallurgy for this steel, and so you get enhanced toughness. It's a nice balanced steel. It's a nice balanced steel. It's similar in performance to S35VN with much better stainlessness, but both really excellent steels. So powder formed N690. I'm just going to grab the spray bottle from that Tommy just knocked off the floor here. Tommy. If I ever put his spray bottle out on the table, Tommy just football tackles it. He hates that thing. It's fun. So the blade shape is kind of K-bar-esque, with the bottom is reminiscent of the profile of many Extrema ratio designs. With the world's most subtle recurve, it's pretty much a straight line, but in some angles it looks like you get a really small recurve. You got a little bit of belly here, and you have a usable tip for piercing. So a well-balanced blade profile for all-around use. It's a relatively thick blade stock for a folding knife, and the taper is in the last third down to a stout point, not a needle point. Extrema ratio does a fantastic job sharpening the blades. They have an almost mirror polish from the factory, and every of the 4 or 5 Extrema ratios that I've had has been really good at slicing receipt paper, thin, flimsy little papers. It's got a really nice cutting edge on here, even, both sides. This one is a full flat grind from the top all the way down there. You have some spaced out jimping at the base of the blade that has been rounded, but it's also aggressive too. So it's a blend of traction and comfort, leaning more towards traction. It's not a nightmare. You can wield it with bare hands, but it's on the side of traction. You have equally spaced jimping at the beginning of the back of the handle here that matches the spacing on the blade. It is a little bit less aggressive, still usable, functional. You have no other jimping other than some really fine jimpings at the top of the liner release for the liner lock. And you've got these thumb studs that are usable for deployment. And I think the thumb studs are what keep the blade in its closed position from swinging more forward. They don't protrude very far from the handle, but you can get enough material here to do a thumb flick open. See if I can do a slow roll with the joint of my thumb. And let's see if I can do with the top of my thumb here. Yep, so thumb studs are a usable way to deploy the knife. It's meant to be deployed with a flipper. Got a nice generous flipper size here, and you have to do a bit of wrist flick, but not too much to get it to come out. There is enough tension all the way down here that it's not going to guillotine drop on your hand, and it feels safe and controllable, but it's also not so stiff that you really got to reef it open. So it's a nice balance. I will go ahead and say right away that it's not as easy to do a inertial open as was the Extrema ratio MF2. That the tension on the blade was so light once you got it centered that it was dangerous. It could quite easily open with the flipper in the pocket. Just putting it down, the flipper hits some fabric, or just with moving around. This one, no. Let's see if I can actually get it open. Yeah, you got to really wing it. You got to throw a ton of inertia behind it to get it to auto open. So, or unintentionally open. That's pretty. You got to be pretty intentional to get it to unintentionally open. So that's relatively safe. So I'm not going to take any points away there for that element. You have the flipper tab acts as an extension of the finger guard to prevent the fingers from sliding forward during piercing. You also have this thumb ramp here with some jimping. Really, this isn't needed for that. This handle shape is enough of a finger guard. You got, oh, I didn't notice that. You got some spaced out jimping on the liner lock release side of the handle to add for additional right hand traction, and left finger traction also for left hand penetrating. And you have the modern Extrema ratio, I will call these milled traction points. They're the same 90 degrees as in the MF1 Evo and the Kaimana Nero, in that you're going to be going more for traction over EDC comfort. But this is a professional use military and police knife for the German police force. I'm not sure exactly the name of the police force that uses this, but Extrema ratio designed this in collaboration with a German police force and supplied them with these knives for their use. So this is for professional use, and of course they sell them to the public too. And so this, like many of the Extrema ratios I've handled, has a sturdy, not like trying to think of the name for the intended use, specialized feel in hand, specialized design. And yeah, this one feels the same as like the MF2 or the MF1 or the MF1 Evo, in that they feel purpose built for a unit that has its own special wants and characteristics. You have T6 pivots, T6 screws on pocket clip, and you have a slot head screwdriver screw for the pivot and a little tiny slot head to lock down the pivot. This came perfectly centered from the box, and the tension is really good. So the Extrema ratio nicely set it up for me. And I just took the little flathead screwdriver and just locked it into place. So now it's not going to move around. And I'm very happy with the setup of the tension on the blade. They use phosphor bronze washers, I believe, although I don't see the actual shininess of the phosphor bronze, but feels like phosphor bronze washers. And this jimping on the blade is for the draw cutting position. It's comfortable for the finger for doing draw cuts. This is not really for the choke up position, just due to the design of the handle with this extension here. When you choke up, I kind of keep my thumb in the saber grip position when I choke up to maintain the comfort. If I go here, then my third finger goes up on this, what do they call this again? I was struggling to name it for the MF2 also. Mid or secondary, Can't remember the name of what they call this, but at any rate, this piece is to lock in your hand, a nice secure position. And so, whereas with the MF2, it's down a knuckle, so you're essentially using 2 fingers to get locked in during the saber grip. With this one, the default position is actually the saber grip. And so you have the extra security behind the first finger there, locking the hand in for pulling it. That's really to secure for pulling out if it's stuck in something. And you do have a comfortable full back grip. And that was where the hand comfort for the Extrema Ratio MF2 was ideal, was in the full back grip, because then you had that piece going behind the index finger, where here the piece goes behind the index finger in saber grip. I prefer for the EDC use or heavy duty around the house knife use that I would use this for, that this piece is behind the index finger and not the middle finger for me. So this is, I prefer the handle design of the GLAUCA G1 over the MF2 for me. So you got this is an aluminum handle. This color, they call it Tactical Mud. It's got a lot of gray in it. It's got a tiny bit of brown. It's not as brown as the 6 Hour EXO2 Desert Scorpion edition. You can see this is got a bronzed color. This is more subdued. So this is more of got the gray like this. You can see it's gray, but it's got a little bit of, what color would you call that? It's almost like a natural metal, maybe like a titanium or something, but it's a neutral color, and to me it looks mostly gray, but they call it mud, so there is a bit of brown in there. I like it. Okay, let's move on. So with the indents that the designers have made here, reminds me of the Kaimana Nero, but it's more subdued than that. Your hand isn't quite as forced to remain just in this position. You can slide your fingers around, and it's comfortable. Reverse grip is comfortable when you go behind this piece, and not so comfortable if you choke up here, because you got this fair amount of space between the fingers. It's doable. With gloves on, it'll be more comfortable, because naturally your fingers space out in gloves because you got material between the fingers anyway. For bare hands, best in the choke back position for reverse grip. And yeah, really good hand comfort for saber grip. Choke up grip is pretty good. So yeah, good blend of combat, tactical, and large, cool EDC, very large, cool EDC knife design. The thickness on the liner lock, the liner is, I'd say, a little bit thicker than the MF1, maybe even thicker than the MF2, but still, it's not going to be as thick as on something like the EX01, the Hogue EX01. This liner lock is thicker, but the trade-off is it's easy to disengage because it's thin. The thinner the metal, usually you have less resistance to open and close. And you have a secondary safety. This switch works very well, designed by Extrema Ratio. Flick it on, and now a little tab slides up, metal tab slides up under the liner release. And even though you can move the liner over, like on all the Extrema Ratios that have this, it will not disengage. So it's nice and secure. It becomes, you know, like a fixed blade. As long as you're not batoning or doing any real abuse with the pivot, it's going to feel, it's going to be nice and secure for piercing, push cutting, slashing, cutting. The position of the pocket clip is well thought out. I'll show you on the other side. The pocket clip sits between the traction point and the hand spots on this relatively smooth area, and so it does slide in and out of the of the fabric nicely. So this is my favorite version of the handles that have these milled out traction points for the pocket clip, because other versions of these knives have gone over the milling, and it's been really difficult to pull in and out, which may be on purpose. Maybe you don't want to accidentally have your knife fall out on you if you're working, but this is more still provides good traction and is easy. It's going to be a lot less harsh on your pants. I did have to take the angle of the bill down a little bit. It was about like this, and I took it down to about here. I just removed it, took some microfiber and pliers, and I just put the pliers over the bill, and then I just bent down maybe 5 or 6 times until got down to this angle. Now I'm happy with it. It was a hot spot in the hand before. I could feel it. I did the various positions, and now it's much better. That being said, I don't really use pocket clips. Probably I'm going to take this off and just try using this without a pocket clip, because the knife is so big. I don't use this as a hand finger reference for opening and closing it, and I did having this taken off. It's really comfortable and usable for a large EDC knife. So maybe I'll take off 1/2 point for having to customize the bill a little bit, because it was a hot spot in the hand otherwise. Got a glass breaker that extends through the pocket clip, and it's inoffensive. I don't mind it. It's not gonna puncture anything except for glass. It's not gonna puncture any skin, and it's away from my pocket side. So when this does sit here, my leg goes here, and it's away from my leg, so it's no risk of damaging fabric or anything like that. It's not reversible, so this is right hand carry only. I guess we can talk about the tools that it comes with. So it comes with a rescue tool, which you just pull out. It's actually easier for me to pull it out if I use the marlin spike first. And now I can get some grip underneath the bracket there. Pull this out, put the marlin spike back down, and you have a fabric cutter. So this is to go under the fabric there, seat belt, or like jeans, something if you got to cut fabric off of a patient. You can use that. And it's stiff to release, but that's good because it's not accidentally going to come partially open while it's in your pocket. And you get this spike called a marlin spike. So you pivot it out, and then you push it down to secure it. And at first I thought, oh, this is like a branding spike for zombies. You just do that. But apparently a marlin spike is used to separate and move together strands of rope and cable. Apparently it's good for splicing cable, and you can tie a knot called I believe it's called a marlin hitch, and you can use that to carry heavy objects. You can use that to use this as a traction point or torque point to pull heavy objects with you. I don't know why the German police force requested a marlin spike for the knife, but they did. So yeah, it's comfortable in the hand, it's easy to deploy, there's no blade play. There's no spike play, left, right, up, and down. There is a bit of side to side spike play, but for puncturing, for doing spike things, this should work well. It's relatively easy to use, and both of these little accessories are nice and comfortable. No hot spot. I can't even feel them in the handle. So price. This was $5.60 Canadian on bladescanada.com. The older models, this has only been out for a month or two. The older models are more expensive. I guess there were more expensive machining techniques used to make them, and they're another $100, or about $6.60 for the GLAUCA J1 and another GLAUCA. So this is the cheap bargain basement one at only $560 Canadian. And I've seen on other Canadian websites they're more expensive. They're $800, $900. So $560 Canadian is the best price I found for this, and that's a lot of money, but military and police tools for real are a lot of money, right? Think of like a airsoft red dot sight versus an actual aim point real red dot sight. You know, the real one's going to be $1,100. The airsoft one's $200. You can find a knife that looks like this for $200, but to get a real one, $560. That's the best price I found. Is that a good value? It's fair. I mean, it's not a good price. It's not like, oh, wow, you're getting a great value, but it's a fair price for what you're getting. It feels like a professional tool. It feels really well made, well designed, feels really sturdy, and you're getting a really cool knife. So this to me is between my leatherneck fixed blade combat knife and my little tank knife here. Not little, it's not little. My Hogue EX02 based on the custom knife called the Mini Tank. So this is in between those. This has the same handle thickness as the EX02, roughly the same blade thickness, blade stock thickness, but it's a lot bigger. It's a lot longer. And you're getting a blade profile more similar to the leatherneck. Leatherneck blade stock is thicker, and you do get a hollow grind on this. This is thinner behind the edge than the GLAUCA, but the GLAUCA, with its full flat grind, is thinner behind the edge than the EX02. You can see it has a saber grind on the EX02. This is more piercy, more slicey. So yeah, but tanky still. So good blend of these two designs into one, to the point where I might be able to sell those two, because I can use this as a tank knife, or if I have to, combat knife, because you can do a full choke back. And what do we have for distance here between the hand and the blade? 7 inches. And how long is this? You got a 7-inch blade here, sharpened. So you're looking at comparable. This is a tiny bit longer, but comparable distance in a combat scenario to the cold steel leatherneck. This is my favorite fixed blade of all time, the cold steel leatherneck. I've used it for heavy duty work around the house, cutting thick straps, cutting like breaking down refrigerator boxes, thick cardboard. This is fantastic, and just an all around fixed blade that can do most things very well. With a hollow grind, it's not going to be great at doing wood crafting. You probably want more of a Scandi grind or a saber grind, But this will do wood crafting if you need to, survival stuff. But this is going to be a little bit better for wood crafting with its flat grind instead of the hollow. And as I mentioned before, it's tanky, it's thick, it's overbuilt. And yeah, it's really versatile. So I really like this knife. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Just because I had to take the bill down, which, you know, if you got to customize the knife after buying it, you can't give it a 10 out of 10, right? Now, as it is now, since I've customized it, this might be a 10 out of 10 knife for me. I love it. It doesn't pass my pocket test. I'll show you. So my 511 strike pants have 5.5 inches of knife pockets or utility tool pockets in the front, and there is some poking out there. However, it does pass my cargo pocket test. So my 511 strike pants have cargo pockets that have mil spec inside pockets, one here and one here to fit NATO M4 magazines, and those are deep enough for this to fully go in. So it just drops in there, and I have a good 3/4 of an inch left over, or an inch to the seam here, and that way I can carry it. Also, I can use the pocket clip and just push it down into the mag pouch seam there. You can see pocket clip is secured, and I'm doing this with one hand. That's why it's looking more difficult than it actually would be. There you go, using the pocket clip, nice and secure. And then when I want to pull it out, because the clip is sitting on this relatively flat portion here, smooth, it doesn't catch or rip the fabric of my pants. So that's a winning design feature. Yeah, big knife. Let's do a measurement here. So we have an overall length of 10, I would say more than 10.5 inches. It's right at about, okay, it's right at about 10.5 inches overall length. You have a blade length up to the beginning of the handle of just under 4.5 inches, 4.48 inches, and a handle length of 6 inches with, yeah, I mean, you can use this whole handle, but a usable handle length of 4.5 inches in saber grip, or if you got ginormous hands and you put all your fingers on this whole thing, you've got about 5.5 inches up to the unsharpened portion of the blade here to put your enormous giant hands. So this is going to fit a lot of hand sizes, anywhere from medium to triple XL hands. The gloves will be able to fit onto this knife. Weight. I don't know what this weighs. Let's find out. So this weighs 8 ounces. So that's heavy. I think my heaviest knife, one of my heaviest knives, folding knives, was the SOG Seal XR, and that was, I believe, 8.2 ounces. So at 8 ounces, this is right up into that territory. But it's a big knife, and it doesn't feel heavy. It feels like it weighs what it should weigh for a knife of this size. It doesn't feel light. It doesn't feel heavy. For a knife of this size, it feels medium. The balance point is right in the middle where your finger rests. So you have really nice, controllable, balanced feel in the hand. Lively, feels nice and lively in the hand. Really, really well designed. So with your Bowler N690 and your aluminum handle, your steel liner, and on the other side it's just a slab of aluminum. So you just have a steel liner on one side and a slab of aluminum on the other. You got your a DLC. You got a DLC coated blade and a DLC coated pocket clip. So really durable, top quality feel in hand. The machining work is really precise. The finishing work on the cutting edge is excellent, among the best that I've seen from a factory knife. Really happy with this knife. I'll just do, as I'm ending the video, a size comparison, give you an idea where this fits in. So I'm starting with a full-size knife. This is the Spartan Astor, and this is the same size as your Spyderco PM2 or your Benchmade Freak, and maybe your what's that one? Ontario Knives Rat 1. So full-size knife. Then you go up a size to the Hogue EX02, Sig Sauer edition, Emperor Scorpion colors. And you go up a significant number of sizes to the Extrema ratio GLAUCA G1. And then you get to true combat fixed blade territory with the cold steel leather neck. So yeah, now you can see what I mean. This is a blend in theory of use to these full-size tanking knife. This is about your size of your cold steel, what's that? The cold steel 8010. This is about the same size as your 8010. And then this is a hybrid of tank knife and combat knife, isn't it? And then you got those cool tactical tools that hopefully I never find myself using. So yeah, that concludes my long review of the new Extrema ratio GLAUCA G1 version. 560 on Blades Canada Canadian before shipping and tax. This was close to $600 by the time it reached my door. And the prices of things are going up, aren't they? So yeah, so if you can find a knife you want for a price you can afford right now, go grab one, because you never know. Prices of things just might keep going up for the foreseeable future. But anyway, very happy with this knife. Happy I got it. This is probably going to be a keeper knife for me. There you go. That concludes my review of the Extrema ratio GLAUCA G1. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.